What's going on, guys? It's Greg here today, and what you'll be watching in the background here is a little bit of Ground War gameplay. Today we'll be going over the first part of getting better at Ground War and giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to improve your experience in Ground War, because I gotta be honest with you guys, Ground War in this game plays nothing like it did in Modern Warfare 2019, and that's because Ground War in this game suffers severe flow issues, and we're going to talk about those issues today and how you guys can work around them. I'm really hoping that InfinityWard makes some changes to Ground War this year, so that way it makes a lot more sense, and there's a lot more flow on the maps, because right now it kinda just feels like a mess. And not a lot of people are getting a lot of kills. I see most games people are averaging somewhere around the lines of 15 to 20 kills in a 15 to 20 minute match, which means the majority of players are probably getting a kill or even less than a kill per minute, which is absurdly slow in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are complaining about this that I know, so I want to talk about it for you guys today and what you guys can do in order to improve your experience playing Ground War, get more kills, and maybe even win more games, because this will help create some more flow for you guys. So let's go ahead and get right into the first part of improving at Ground War. So for today's video overview, and again, we'll have chapters in the description below so you guys can see the timestamps. We're going to be going over the mode roles, the flow issue, how you can attempt to create flow, as well as some good loadout tips for you guys. So let's dive right into it. As for the mode roles, the basics, time limit is 20 minutes and the score limit is 250 points. Score is awarded in 10-second intervals. Whenever the 10 seconds goes up, it's going to take the number of friendly flags and enemy flags, and it's going to award the points based off of the number of flags owned by each team. So if you own 3 flags and the enemy has 2 flags, you will earn 3 points, the enemy team will earn 2 points. There are 5 neutral flags on each map, and whenever all flags are owned by one team, a DEFCON MGB will initiate. This timer begins at 45 seconds. If you do not want to lose the game, you must capture at least 1 flag during this. However, if you are the team that owns all 5 flags, then you must defend all 5 flags so that way that the enemies do not capture 1 flag. If the enemies do capture a flag before the 45 seconds runs out, then the match goes on. However, if a team does not capture a flag during this timer and it goes down to 0, then an MGB nuke will come in and end the game, resulting in a win for the team that occupied all the flags in the match. And again, as with Modern Warfare 2019, any player who achieves a 30 gun streak, which is defined by earning kills with only your weapon or equipment, if you go and get 30 kills in 1 life without dying, with this method, you will earn an MGB nuke, and upon calling it, the player who calls in the MGB, their team will win the game automatically, even if they are losing. Currently in the preseason of Modern Warfare 2, there is a massive flow issue in Ground War. Starting off, the maps are way too big, and flags are way too spread out. There are too many useless rooms inside of a lot of these buildings where they are just dead ends, they serve no purpose whatsoever, and there's many of these on a lot of floors of many buildings. There are way too many buildings on each and every map that generally just don't serve a purpose, and on top of that, there is way too much verticality on the map, which just results in people just looking all over the place, up and down, left, right, for kills, and then again, you really just don't know if an enemy is going to be there because the maps are really just so big that, well, good luck trying to really find people, especially because there are just way too many areas people could be. As a result of this, the vast majority of players, like I said, finish the game with less than 15 to 20 kills per match, and like I said, matches generally last 15 to 20 minutes. Another huge culprit of this is the Pavlo, or the transport helicopter. You have unlimited spawn use during these things, and they also give access anywhere on the map in seconds. So if you jump out of this heli, you can go anywhere you want on the map that is within bounds, and congrats. You're on a rooftop at the E flag all the way across the map. If you spawned A within a matter of seconds, you didn't have to walk over there, you didn't have to flank enemies, you didn't have to do anything but just spawn in this helicopter, and now you're there. It also has an insane amount of health, and it is nearly indestructible from bullets and even various kill streaks. So before we get into the next part, we're going to go to a blast from the past, and some of you on the channel might recognize this image. This was from my Modern Warfare 2019 Karst River Quarry Ground War Guide. Now, I know I marked up this map quite a bit, and in retrospect, yeah, I could have done it a little bit neater and maybe done a little bit of a better job with this image, but, you know, this is one of my first attempts at ever making a guide. So, in order to read this image, I put a key on the map, and it goes over a few positions. Power positions, flanks, where snipers like to sit. It even has where the APC, a common spot where that goes, and it also shows you all the spawn points on the map depending on which flags are owned. So in Modern Warfare 2019, spawns were pretty simple to understand. There was a spawn point that moved around the map, which was the APC, and there were also spawns depending on which HQ you owned. People would spawn on a certain flag towards their HQ, and that is where the enemies would be spawning all game long outside of squad spawns, and they would also be spawning, obviously, in the APC if they wanted to get around certain areas as well. And, again, if flags weren't owned and maybe they're in a DEF CON, or they just wanted to spawn there for some reason, they spawned in the HQ. In the current state of Modern Warfare 2, as of November 12th, 2022, there are a lot of ways for you to spawn in this game. So, first things first, you have the HQ, which you can spawn all the way in the back of the map. Now, HQs are nowhere near as overpowered for camping with a sniper like in Modern Warfare 2019, because one, kill chain and hardline, that's not really a thing in this game. While hardline is in the game, it's not as broken as kill chain was. And on top of that, the HQs just really are not good vantage points anymore, which is great because they're unable to be flanked, and essentially it just resulted in way too many people just sitting in their HQ and not actually playing the map, which was the way the game is meant to be played. So in this game, on the other hand, we have the helicopter, which is one of the biggest culprits for spawn issues. It completely takes all of the flow out of ground war, and here is why. So, a player spawns into the helicopter, that player goes and jumps out of the helicopter. Or they could just sit in the heli all game if they wanted to, I guess, which is another issue. But if the player jumps out of the heli, they can go to any rooftop they want to on the map or any point of elevation, and up to 3 of their squad members can begin to spawn on them, which they can spawn on each other for the rest of the game, which means they're not going to spawn around flags, which again is going to create a much slower experience and cause a lack of flow on the map, because now, if you guys don't understand, basically what I'm trying to tell you here is that they don't have to spawn around the flags. They don't have to play near the flags. All they have to do is spawn in a heli, and 1/8 of the lobby will basically be on this random building in the middle of nowhere. Also, the APCs, there's generally about 2 on each map, and again, the APC allows every single player on the other team to spawn on it. So you have 2 rotating spawn points around the map, again having nothing to do with the flags, which just means people are going to be in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. And on top of that, there's now watercraft in Ground War, and this vehicle is the same thing as an APC, except it's on water. So, yeah, if you guys can't tell, basically what I'm saying is, these people could spawn wherever they want, and there's just no sense of flow whatsoever on the game right now. But we can actually create flow, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So, first things first, put the cruise missile on your kill streak selection. It is the best kill streak in Ground War by far, and here's why. You can destroy the Pavlo with this thing. Destroying the Pavlo is going to actually reward you normal kill score on the enemies that are inside the Pavlo. So this means it's actually going to count towards your next kill streaks if you're running something higher than the cruise missile. So if you're running a VTOL jet, chopper gunner, whatever it may be, it's actually going to count towards those kills. And on top of that, if you're running score streaks, you're going to earn bonus score for destroying the helicopter, which means you're even going to get them faster. So, again, very good. It's going to destroy the Pavlo, which means, as we talked about with those spawns, those enemies just can't keep jumping down from the helicopter over and over again until it respawns. And again, if you're playing with people, highly encourage them to run the cruise missile, so every single time a heli respawns, you see that heli's in the air, you jam the cruise missile right into that heli, and you prevent people from having unlimited spawns just going wherever they want on the map. Thermite is also extremely useful because this is going to be your best bet at getting rid of APCs and those watercraft, APCs we'll call them, those watercraft spawning, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what they're called, the game doesn't tell me. But you guys know which vehicle I'm talking about. You saw the image of it. Just throw thermites at that too. Now, the drill charge is also really good as well, but I'm not really going to recommend this one as much. It's really good if you're going up against like light tanks or whatever, but thermite still does the job better because it's going to ensure that you destroy the vehicle itself. So, the drill charge is good though because if the enemy does not exit the vehicle, they're guaranteed to die. So they must exit the vehicle. But again, this is not good for APCs or guard boats because those are mobile spawn points. So you have to be careful of that. On top of that, the shock stick, I haven't tested this yet, but it apparently has anti-vehicle properties, which it states it makes vehicles go haywire. So I'm going to do some testing with this, and in the next Ground War guide, we'll touch bases on this one. But for now, just want to let you guys know that it is an option to use. So if you really want to be a trooper and take one for the team, then this is going to be the class for you. You're going to create flow, so that way the people who earn a lot of kill streaks and want to, play the objective or whatever, they're going to have a much easier time at that. So let's talk about the best anti-vehicle loadout. The Strela P is going to be the best launcher in the game for taking out vehicles. Also, bonus tip, hitting a vehicle in the rear, like a light tank, will deal bonus damage. You'll get a critical hit, which deals much more damage. Shock sticks, again, I have not tested this yet, but it causes vehicles to go haywire. We'll touch bases on this in the next Ground War guide for part 2. Thermites, sticking 2 to a vehicle and using 1 rocket should ensure destruction on most vehicles. Just note that thermite, it's over time, so it's not instantly going to destroy that vehicle, but it will cause destruction on most vehicles. Extra Tactical is going to allow you to spawn in 1 extra shock stick. Bomb Squad is going to give you resistance to tank shells, so that way that obviously you can try to survive and get away from a tank. Resupply is going to give you an extra thermite upon spawn, and Overclock is going to give you an additional munitions box charge and recharge them 40% faster after use. The reason this is important is because munitions boxes are going to replenish your rockets and equipment. Also, don't forget to turn on score streaks because you should be rewarded for your efforts for destroying vehicles, and again, you get bonus score for destroying vehicles. So for kill streaks, I highly recommend just running a UAV, a care package, and a cruise missile, so that way you can take out vehicles. Now, what I am going to recommend is you use the UAV, so that way you can safely take out the vehicles and, know that there's not any people around you. But also, the care package is going to give you a chance at earning one of those higher kill streak rewards, and saving the cruise missile until your next life will actually allow you to earn a little bit of score towards your next set of kill streaks. Because, as we mentioned earlier, driving this thing into the helicopter gives you kills and score as if you killed them with your weapon. Last but not least, let's go over what is, in my opinion, the absolute best loadout in Ground War. So this is for everybody who has realized that sniping is extremely powerful in this game compared to Modern Warfare 2019. While it was very powerful in Modern Warfare 2019, weapons had very low recoil, extremely high bullet velocity, and as a result, you could just beam somebody who was sniping across the entire map. You also had stopping power in that game as a field upgrade, which means it would take less damage to kill an enemy, thus resulting in a lot of guns like the AK-47 being a 2-tap on enemies up close and 3 taps across the map, unless you actually hit 2 headshots across the map. Then you would kill them in 2 shots. However, that doesn't exist in this game. So I highly recommend that all of you guys run Overkill with a sniper, so that way you can counter-snipe the snipers, because the weapons in this game, the bullet velocity is just not high enough, the damage downrange is piss poor, and the recoil in this game, don't even get me started on it. So it is just, everything about it essentially buffs snipers in ground war, because for whatever reason, if you slap a barrel and a suppressor on your sniper that increases bullet velocity, you basically turn them into hit scan, just one-click machines. So, again, the only way to beat them is to join them and counter-snipe them. So your primary should be a sniper, your secondary should be a close quarters weapon, so that way you have something to fall back on. Highly recommending the Lockman sub, it's a very good weapon, but I'd highly recommend any sort of submachine gun or assault rifle. Smoke grenade is going to allow you to cross gaps, so that way you're not getting sniped, unless of course they have thermal on. Thermite is going to help you destroy vehicles in a pinch, and I highly recommend running resupply with this, so that way you can obviously take out vehicles as you go along. Now, if you really don't want to run resupply, you can run fast hands, which is another alternative, and the reason I would recommend this is so you could swap between your primary and your secondary faster, and you can reload them faster. As for our perks, double time, again, very good perk because we're going to cross the gap just that much faster with extra tactical sprint. Overkill gives us 2 primaries. Resupply is going to help us resupply our equipment over time if we're going to be staying alive a lot longer. And Ghost is going to prevent us from being seen on the pesky UAV spam in this game. For our field upgrades, we're going to run the munitions box because, again, we want to keep our ammo filled up on our weapons, as well as it's going to give us our equipment back on demand if we really need it that much faster and we can't wait for resupply. The trophy system is going to help us play the objective, which in my opinion is one of the most important things to do in ground war this time around, because you're not going to find much action considering there's a massive flow issue. So play the objective, turn on score streaks, and be sure to run this kill streak setup if you want to try to get consistent kill streaks as well as consistent kills. So the UAV is going to help us see those non-ghosted players. The cruise missile, again, best kill streak in ground war because we could just pile drive it right into that pesky helicopter, or even some APCs and stuff, that aren't reachable if there isn't a helicopter, but I would just recommend saving it for the helicopter. And the VTOL jet, it's just a really powerful kill streak, and it only costs 1,000 score to earn, or 8 kills if you're still for some reason using kill streaks. But anyways, that concludes our tips and tricks for Ground War Part 1. I'll be covering more if they make changes and more as I go along and continue to play the game and figure out some new things, maybe about extra spawn logic or just overall map flow as people learn how to play the game and they get more comfortable with moving around in Ground War. But right now, those are my initial tips to help you guys get started this year, and hopefully this helped you guys out. If it did, be sure to drop a rating on the channel, subscribe to it if you are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day, and peace out.